And a half later, with the goose standing on its own landing gear on the shores of the lake after a fine lunch, the group went in its separate ways. Rarity had taken some quick measurements after the salvage was done and set off to begin work on the suits. Applejack departed to take over the market stall from Big Mac, and upon hearing of the impending royal meeting, Pinky zipped off to prepare a proper party, much to Twilight's chagrin, leaving Nate and Sully to follow Twilight back to the library. The adventurer himself was exhausted, both from working to the goose onto the shore, and from Rainbow and Twilight's endless questions about his past adventures and the goose in general. The Pegasus had thankfully been called away midway through the salvage work to help clear out what remained of the Thunderhead from the night before, leaving Nate with the curious Twilight still firing off questions. He'd answer them the best he could while embellishing some of his less than perfect moments. But the studious unicorn has stopped questioning since becoming absorbed in the pages of Nate's journal. She questioned about the architecture, culture, people, and artifacts Nate had mentioned within its pages. "Ooh, Nate, was this oil lamp something you recovered from the museum here?" she asked, pointing towards Nate's picture of Marco Polo's jade lamp as they crossed the threshold to the library. Uh, Something like that.
All right. Now we're sure it's the right one.
Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. Sorry, Marco.
Crap. Well, that's the understatement of the year. This is it. It's bloody useless.
Gus shafted on the deal, though. I'd rather not talk about it. He waved off while beginning to browse the library's collection. He didn't want to go into detail about what happened afterward for a multitude of reasons. His incarceration, mostly. But presently, he was plagued by his curiosity. He'd been mulling over a steadfast phrase. What exactly did the old guard mean by the three lieutenants watch over Celestia's fully? Was there something he left there? Something of value? The torn pages seemed to testify as much. A sign of covering up something sure. But again, what was it? Nate's instinct kicked in the moment he seen the missing pages. It was yet another mystery, yet another goal lost in the fibers of history. And while he'd openly complained to Sully about no more adventures after the Ubar fiasco, Steadfast's journal was steadily drawing him out of his early retirement. The lunatics could be anything: statues, pillars, ships, ponies. But Celestia's Folly had to be a landmark of some kind. If common naming conventions across the universe, locating the Folly was another problem entirely. Nate knew he had to be careful now he searched for his answer, now that he'd already crossed an invisible line in the sand by taking Steadfast's journal. Twilight was no pushover as far as intelligence went. A fact Nate learned earlier today after she dragged through a description of how the Goose's engines worked. She could have more than a few choice questions if she suddenly found him digging through her archives looking for major military losses. Instead, Nate requested information on Equestria's geography. While a good front for finding the Foley, Nate also had a keen interest in discovering more about the new land he and Sully were stuck in. Twilight was more than happy to feed Nate's curiosity, immediately scouring the shelves the moment he'd ask. As she pulled book after book from the shelves, Nate took his time studying each map he could find. Some were new and up to date, showing the recently rediscovered Crystal Empire to the north, while the oldest he could find was a chart of the Apple family homestead, dated to the year 925 of the Hellenical monarchy. He had to scoff slightly as he read the names of various landmarks. Salton, Mayhan, Philadelphia? I thought Carolina was pushing it, he thought. Other than mocking the local word choice and scanning over chapters of history, he was indeed finding some information on the various folies from the historical texts. However, none of the texts or maps he combed through even held a hint of Celestia's Folly. He found out Sentinel's Folly off to the west was named after a diamond dog ambush took out half a regiment in the War of 385 HM. Kruper's Foley was named during the Griffin Wars as 466 CD. When Colonel Kruper's regiment was split in two after an attempt to flank the opposing forces went sour. They even know the township of Foley, mistakenly built along the banks of the Strap River, 3 miles inside of the Griffin territory. Nate sighed heavily and resigned himself to defeat. He glanced around out the library to take things in. Sully had gone outside for another cigar roughly an hour ago. Twilight had some choice words for him while he tried to lie up inside the lobby. Spike was busy reshelving the books Nate had already read, and Twilight was still poring over his journal, taking notes and cooing ever so often at the detail of his sketches. He had to admit, she did look cute fawing over his work. With nothing else to go on, and not knowing where to begin looking for the lieutenants, they opened his Ubar journal and began to sketch Twilight with his other journal with the same care and detail he put in with all of his drawings. Alright, I'm going, Sparkles. Sully huffed while Twilight hurried him out of the library, a freshly lit cigar in his hand. It's Sparkle, Mr. Sullivan, and I'm sorry, but I don't want the smell of tobacco impregnating the books. Right, understandable. Somewhat. So, out he is fine then, eh? She nodded. Alright, I'll be in once I'm done. With that, Twilight left him to his cigar. Sully leaned up against the sign of the Golden Oaks Library, smoking away as he watched the town continue with its day. Ponies bustled here and there with their errands to run, with only a few casting Sully and an exchanged glance. Some mustered up the courage to speak with the old man, most of those being put off by the foul smell of his cigar. But they each held a bit of a conversation. Most wondered where he hailed from, what exactly he was. Sully was only too happy to answer, asking a few questions of his own. Presently he spoke with a bright red Clydesdale. Your Applejack brother, eh? Hey, yup. Big Macintosh. Most just call me Big Mac. Funny. Don't see much relation on the other Mark. Gotta say, she makes a fine apple pie. Hey, yup. The stallion replied, his chest swelling with pride at his little sister's work of being complimented. Size equals 8. E. Size. Size equals 8. E. Size. Was it going right for... Wait a moment. You hear that? Yeah, nope. Size equals 9. E. Size. E. Sounds like a high-pitched whine or something? Sure you can't hear it. Mac pricked his ears about for a moment. Hey, yep. You're not one much for conversation, alright? Out of nowhere, a mint green blur streaked past the stallion and collided with Sully, sending his cigar flying. The old man stumbled for a moment before regaining his balance, Big Mac only looking on with but the slight hint of shock. Sully looked down to find the blur was in fact another unicorn, squealing in delight while squeezing him tightly. Oh my gosh, they're real! Bonbon, they're real! Eee! She screamed back towards town before dissolving into another round of squeals, burying a face into Sully's side. Sully looked towards where she screamed to find the cream-colored mare trotting towards them, a look of utter bewilderment on her face. I believe this is yours, he asked, motioning towards the unicorn, now steadily rearranging his organs from his stomach into his chest with her grip. A silent, slow nod was Bonbon's only response, her mouth agape. Never in her time with Lyra had she ever thought she'd see a human herself. True, she had entertained the idea a few times, going so far to go watching for lone humans with Lyra to satiate her odd obsession, but seeing one standing before her, speaking to her, was the shock of her life. I appreciate if you could just... Sully groaned while trying to pry Lyra off of him to no avail. Call her off of something. Jesus, she's got grip. You talk too! I mean, I know you and communicate vocally on some level. What with humans having complex learning system to ponies but speaking fluent equestrian? That's too awesome! Ha! Everybody said I was crazy! Lyra turned away almost bashfully at that, her grip loosening just slightly. They're not too wide of the mark, the man grumbled. He made another attempt to get out of her grip, this time popping free and falling to Big Man. The farmer had weathered worse blows and caught Sully before he could fall too far. Lyra wasn't a psycho, however, bowling over the still catatonic Bonbon, snapping her out of her stupor. Look, ladies, it's been small, but Sully fumbled, trying to make an excuse to get inside and away from the green mare still staring excitedly at him. Sparrow said I couldn't speak much with you. Something about, damn it, kid, where are you when I need you? Bang, man! Where you go off to? Applejack called. I need you back at the market stall, almost time for the afternoon rush. Hey, Bonbon, Lyra, Sully. Mac ain't giving you no trouble, is he?
No, no, no.
You sure? Getting the plane of yours out of the plane? As in airplane? As in a machine heavier than air and yet still flies? Lyra suddenly leapt up, a new energy overtaking her. Ah, that's right. You were still in Canada last evening, weren't you? You should have seen it, Lyra. Every pony's by a 7 leg having a good nightmare's night and all. And here comes Nate and Sully bowling out of the storm cloud, and there ya said grumbling goose, right? And crashed it right here on the lake in front of everyone. Think that gave everyone a mighty good fright, she chuckled. Bonbon, Silver Lake, no! Lyra yelled as she zipped off to find the machine. Bonbon could only trot after her, giving Sully one last look before rushing away to catch up. I swear, that mare's just not right in the head. Anyway, Mac really is getting you in trouble. Even after all that work today, he'll talk your ear off if it suits him.
Oh, like I said, no, no, no. You're just shying a bit. What was with her?
Who, Lyra? Oh, that mare's had connection with humans for as long as any pony can remember. Almost every pony thought she was crazy. Well, up to then you showed up, that is, she laughed. Me and Mac gotta get back to the market now. You have a good evening now, Sully.
You too.
He called as he stopped to pick up his cigar butt before re-entering the library, still confused about what just happened. Nate's drawing was nearly complete, with him adding some final notes such as Twilight Sparkle, Librarian of Ponyville. Special marked notes Talent, Magic, and the small mustache cigar wielding skull croaked.
It's a damn tramp stamp, kid.
The old man himself re-entered the library silently. None of the three occupants noticed his return, even as he snuck up behind Nate and viewed the new sketch.
Really, Nate? I didn't know you felt that way. Is it Lena after way?
He said, all pinching his cigar butt into a nearby waistband. What's this? It's a sketching for you, Sully. I know how you like to go after the smart ones. The smart whats? Pilot queered. It's nothing. Nate quit while snapping his journal shut. Unfortunately, nothing was just what he had to go on as far as the Foley was concerned. None of the maps he pored over held mention of the Foley, and the history texts were mum as to Celestia's military history. They needed a new angle, new point of view of the whole thing. I think I'm going to take a walk about town, get some air. All right, Twilight? You should stay in the library, please. I have so many questions, and you haven't shown me that second journal of yours. So close, so close, so close! They're right there, and the library's just across town, and I can't do anything about them. Ugh! 12 mentally berated herself as she paced angrily in her room. In the 45 minutes she'd been in town, 12 had run across one of the humans she'd been set for, out in broad daylight and chatting with any pony who listened to him. No less. Not only did that make him untouchable, but it was ruining any chance of a smooth cleanup. Sure, the plane alone was going to be a pain in the flank to hide, but one more witnesses to the human's presence meant more ponies who questioned his disappearance. It didn't help in the slightest if element of harmony were in prolonged, direct contact, quite possibly with both of them. A missing persons investigation was the last thing 12's organization needed. The organization, if 12 was allowed to call it that, had been operating for decades as far as she knew. Its goal was simple enough: hide all existence of humans, living or dead, from the populace by any means. Truth be told, 12 wasn't exactly sure why humans were such a threat beyond the explanations she received whether she voiced reservations about her actions, although the letters alone were enough to keep her for her cause. There's got to be someone to get them, puzzled, peering out between the blinds at the tree now housing her targets. I could try using my persona again like I had earlier to get close, but I nearly blew my cover today. 12's amber eyes narrowed as she continued contemplating ideas. Poison their food? There's no guarantee of them getting it. Sabotage the plane like I did with that other pilot? No, too much of a spectacle. Force the guns to backfire? Had to get to them first. Sneak and stab? I may be an assassin. There's no way I can get away with that. Not in this town. Damn it. 12 sighed and turned away from the window, allowing the blinds to snap back into place. These humans were getting to her. Years of working so close to their kind left her subconsciously picking up their phrases and mannerisms. She needed a break from the madness of her work. As a musician, both in her persona and her life, 12 sought silence in playing her instrument. As notes drifted from the instruments she placed into her fiddlehood, 12 allowed herself to relax. A smile formed on her lips as her eyes fluttered shut. The mirror became lost in her music. She knew how to get to her targets.